All right, Matt, it is time for our main event. Let's start the main event. 5-minute clock. Listen, you've got Frankie Edgar taking on Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie, ranked featherweights. Why is that important? Because it's absolutely not important. This is where I'm going to get a little bit squirrely. Frankie Edgar is still scheduled to take on Corey Sandhagen in early 2020 at bantamweight, which is incredibly odd to me. This is a fight that was going to be a 3-round fight that he was training for at 135 pounds. Now on short notice, he's coming in, filling in for Brian Ortega in this main event in South Korea, of course, the Korean Zombie, and it's a 5-round main event. So listen, Frankie Edgar is a company man, tried and true. He's one of those Chuck Liddell type of guys, Randy Couture's, that's always been there.
Elephant-sized balls.
Uriah Faber. Yeah, exactly. This to me, I'm going to tip my hand a little bit. To me, this is just like when Uriah Faber fought Piotr Jan last weekend. So it's a weird matchup. Let's break it down.
And it's odd to see, too, because you would think, okay, if we are going to schedule a guy for a fight back-to-back months, it's not like you fight the Korean Zombie and you're fine afterwards. Even if you beat him, you're not going to be the same guy who you were before the fight. He's like Justin Gaethje in that aspect. You can beat Justin Gaethje, but you're never going to starch Justin Gaethje. You're always going to take some form of damage, and the Korean Zombie is very similar to that. Now, with the X's and O's, it's going to be interesting because Frank Edgar, we all know what he's going to do. He's kind of like the perfect example of a wrestler boxer in MMA. He's going to go out there, throw combinations, go for the takedown, rinse and repeat, do that for 25 minutes because he never gets tired. Some of the better volume just in UFC history. I don't know if at this stage of his career, though, Frank Edgar's going to be able to keep up with a guy like the Korean Zombie, who we've seen. He's kind of, and a bit of an exaggeration, Korean Zombie has like Francis Ngannou power at 145. When he hits things, they fall down. He has ungodly power, really good combinations, and he doesn't have to rely just on his toughness anymore. That was what he always had to do. It was, okay, technically he's not great, but he's really hard to put away. Now, his skill is kind of caught up to his toughness, and there's not many holes in his game.
The crazy thing here is the fact that, fans have known about the Korean Zombie for forever. He's been involved with the UFC for a really long time. Favorite. But the whole mandatory military service took him away for quite a while. He's also a fighter who will take quite a bit of time off between fights, which we've seen to his advantage. Even at his age, he can put on great performances, like in his last fight, a first-round knockout of Renato Moicano, who's one of those guys, in my mind's eye, Renato Moicano is a proverbial challenger in this weight class. It's very interesting because Frankie Edgar, for the amount of fights that he's had, he leads the UFC in time spent in a cage, which is crazy to think of. And for his entire career, he's fought, the top of the top, former lightweight champ, had plenty of shots at featherweight. Now he wanted to try his hand at bantamweight. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to fill in this fight in South Korea because they need a main event. It seems a little silly to me. If you're Frankie Edgar, what do you, if you're able to win this fight, what does it really do for you?
So, luckily enough for him, though, Max Holloway is no longer the champion at 145. So, if he wins this, there is kind of a realistic path for him to get back to the title. The problem, though, is if the Korean Zombie wins no matter what, whether Max had won over the weekend or Alexander Volkanovski, he was probably going to get the title shot if he did beat Brian Ortega at the time, now Frank Edgar. And I still feel like that is the truth. I feel like people, and especially the casual audience, everyone knows the Korean Zombie name. And if they can get him into a title fight, that has such international appeal. You can bring in a lot of casual fans with that, and it would be a very big fight.
And of course, he's fought Jose Aldo before in a title fight, and of course, that didn't go his way, but it just boosts your star.
Of course. And in this fight, I really do see it going a lot like Milo Moraes versus Rafael Sun Sao 2. It was one of those fights where you saw this guy has a ton of power, and he's got really good submission skills against an older guy who can kind of do everything. And the Korean Zombie, people forget, even if Frankie Edgar does take him down 6 times, when they're on the ground, it's not like the Korean Zombie isn't a dangerous guy with submissions. He has one of now 2 twister submissions in UFC history.
Bryce Mitchell
joined him in that club. So I just feel like Korean Zombie's dangerous no matter where the fight goes, where Frankie Edgar kind of has these certain positions that he's going to really excel in, but if he gets out of those, it's going to be a struggle. So Frankie Edgar really needs to push the pace, get the Korean Zombies back up against the cage, and throw heavy volume. But the problem is, Frankie Edgar, and go back to like a Deontay Wilder quote. Deontay Wilder says, you have to be perfect for 12 rounds. I'd be perfect for 2 seconds. That's kind of the case with Sung Jung. Frankie Edgar has to be perfect for 25 minutes. Korean Zombie only needs 2 seconds.
And I will point out, Frankie Edgar, it's not like cardio has ever been an issue for him, and he's fought plenty of 5-round fights. It's just he was training for a 3-round fight at bantamweight. Now all of a sudden he's thrust into a 5-round main event in South Korea. And you look at the odds in terms of this fight. Korean Zombie minus 185 favorite. Frankie Edgar sitting at a plus 145. Kind of surprises me, to be totally honest. I mean, give credit where credit's due. Edgar is ranked higher than Korean Zombie in the rankings. Take that with a grain of salt, if you will. Matt, we kind of tipped our hands as far as who we're going to pick. I'm, of course, going with Sung Jung here, but it should be a decent fight.
I think again, Frankie Edgar doesn't really have boring fights. He's going to get hit a lot. He's going to go down. He's going to get back up. He's got tons of heart, and I feel like that's how this fight's going to go. Frankie Edgar's going to have success throughout the rounds, but there's going to be one seminal moment in every single round where you're like, damn, Zombie hit him with a body kick that hurt him. He hit him with an uppercut that dropped him. The more damaging shots are going to go to the Korean Zombie, and I just feel like eventually the power is going to catch up to Frankie Edgar, and he's going to be able to catch him and put away with something.
Yeah, so we're both going with Korean Zombie here, but we're really looking forward to UFC Busan coming up this Saturday. If you miss them, don't miss them. You're going to want to check out our Fight Night picks here on YouTube, Matt. Let's